But I mean, as an officer, we know that as long as it's not interfering with with the investigation that we're doing, then people can record. We may just ask to, you say so many feet away. That's about it.
Oh, well, but that's where all the controversy and contention comes in, is that in many cases, the individual might be standing where he's legally allowed to be, but many police officers, not just your police department, but many throughout the country, will then arbitrarily request or demand that that person move to another location, even though that person's already where they're legally allowed to be and they're not interfering.
Just so I'm educated on this, where is it? Where is the law, or where is the statute, or where is the right for someone to stand? What is the legal allowed to be there? Where is that written? So I know. I mean, maybe if I don't want to violate someone's rights to do that, where is it written that there's X amount of feet that's legally allowed? Or
that's an excellent question.
Yeah,
that's an excellent question, and that's what is still being fought out in the courts today.
Right.
The best answer I can give you is that our rights are inalienable, and they're given to us by God through the United States Constitution and the Indiana State Constitution.
Right,
so
but you're saying that's not written down, though, is what I'm saying. You're saying an officer is arbitrarily doing a so many feet, but we're doing it based on our experience and our knowledge and our protection, is saying, okay, this is where you have to stand. So it's not arbitrary if it's not against the law. If you're saying there's nothing written that says you have the right to stand within 8 feet, let's say, and we're saying, no, you guys stand 35 feet, there's nothing written like that. So I'm not going to get into that debate. What's your next question?
Hello, AAPO, Americans Against Police Oppression. I like the name. And this is Andrei with Horizon City News Service. I saw your video this morning on San Joaquin Valley Transparency. And he helped put out a couple of my videos over the years. In fact, earlier this year was the most recent one. So definitely a very interesting video you had that I saw this morning, which was from Jeffersonville, Indiana. And it got me so interested that I had to pick up the phone and call the Jeffersonville, Indiana Police Department right away to ask a couple questions, because I believe you're dealing with a very similar issue to what I deal with down here in El Paso, Texas, in the El Paso, Texas area, and what a lot of other people who video record the police and government deal with throughout the country. So I got on the phone with a Jeffersonville, Indiana Police Department sergeant named Sergeant Jackson, and we briefly spoke about filming the police. And my main goal when making the phone call was to determine if the police department had a written policy regarding video recording the police in public places. Sergeant Jackson didn't know off the top of his head if any written policy existed, but he did say that within the ranks there have been, verbal discussions, and I wasn't sure if that meant that they had official meetings with, the leadership and the rank and file people, or if that was just people talking around the water cooler. You can hear the conversation here in a minute, because I recorded the phone call with myself and Sergeant Jackson. But you'll see in the phone call that, like many police officers throughout the country, and as you can see from your video, like many police officers at the Jeffersonville, Indiana Police Department, he believes that law enforcement has the authority to, move individuals from one location to another, or stop them from moving from one location to another based on just their whims. Like, if they just decide, oh, well, I feel that it's a possible safety risk for him to be standing on this sidewalk in front of this traffic stop. Therefore, as a police officer, I'm going to order him to move away from where he's standing. That's how Sergeant Jackson feels about it. And obviously, many of his colleagues at the Jeffersonville, Indiana Police Department would agree. That's their position. And of course, I totally disagree with that, and I'm sure you do. And that's why San Joaquin Valley Transparency recently put up your video a few days ago. It's because people like us, we don't believe that that's legal, that that's the law or the spirit of the law. You know, you'll see in the phone call that he tried to throw out a hypothetical scenario out there about a particular situation dealing with a traffic stop with that involved crime scene tape. And he made that one example, and then he said, so there you go, right there. That shows that, we have the right to do what we do, and if we move people, we have the right to do that. And I can't remember word for word what he said, but he threw out one quick example of one particular hypothetical scenario and basically justified himself and his people as to why they could simply move free citizens standing in public places to another location while they're trying to video record the police. I consider that to be a warrantless seizure myself, but I'm not a lawyer or a judge, so I guess the lawyers and judges will eventually hash all this out in the appeals courts and the Supreme Court one day. But until then, people like you and I are going to keep on running into cops like this who, I think that they're usurping their authority and they're making up laws that don't exist, basically, is what it comes down to. And that's what I've dealt with for the past several years, trying to record the police. And it's made my life very hard in many ways. And it's almost made me wind up in a jail cell several times now. So it's a very sobering reality when you deal with the police because they have a lot of power. And they can get away with a lot of things. And they're the ones that get believed in court before people like you and I. So be careful out there is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, thanks for what you do. And San Joaquin Valley Transparency, I know you're probably listening to this as well, so thank you for everything you do. And here's the phone call between me and Sergeant Jackson. He was, overall professional and polite and all that, but you'll see that he definitely didn't agree with some of the things I had to say. And I didn't get my final answer from him, which was, like I said, I wanted to find out if there was an official written policy with the Jeffersonville, Indiana Police Department regarding an official written policy for the hypothetical scenario of an individual being in a public place video recording the police. All right. Thanks for watching Horizon City News, guys. I'll be in touch. All my contact information is down in the description box below. And, here's the recording between me and Sergeant Jackson. All right, guys. Have a great day.
Hi, Sergeant Jackson. Can I help you?
Actually, my name is Andre. Is this Lieutenant Dobbs?
No, this is Sergeant Jackson. I work directly under Lieutenant Dobson.
Oh, okay. I thought you were calling me Sergeant. Okay. So yes, good morning, Sergeant. My name is Andre, and I just had some general questions about your police department.
Sure.
I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me.
No problem.
One of my first questions, just to verify, is your general policy and procedure manual, is it referred to as the SOP?
We have a standard operating procedure, yes.
And they just call it the SOP, or is it like some other title?
No, that's in general, SOPs, yes.
Okay. How is it maintained? Is it in paper format or electronically on PDF?
It's electronic.
Okay, great. I'm guessing that's probably big, like 500 pages or 200 pages.
Sure. Yep.
But inside that policy manual, do you happen to know if there's any policy, and you might not know, but do you happen to know if there's any policy regarding interactions with, just people on the sidewalk or in a public place that are video recording the police?
Do we have a policy about interaction with people recording?
Yes, sir.
There's a First Amendment right that people have to do that, as long as they don't interfere with the law enforcement. But I don't
Right, and
so we have a policy on First Amendment gatherings.
Right, and that's a little bit different. The freedom to assemble, that's one of the clauses of the First Amendment, but then one of the other clauses would be freedom of press and freedom of speech that would deal with video recording. And in regards to the video recording, video recording aspect, I was wondering if your police department might have supplemented.
What do you want to know about that? I can tell you. I mean,
well, what I'd like to know is if your police department has a written policy that gives further guidance to its officers, just general guidance about how to deal with those situations of people video recording the police from public places.
I mean, we have conversation about that. I can't specifically say from the top of my head that it's directly in our policy. I know there's something written in our policy. I just don't know exactly the depth that it goes. But I mean, as an officer, we know that as long as it's not interfering with the investigation that we're doing, then people can record. We may just ask to, you say so many feet away. That's about it.
Oh, well, but that's where all the controversy and contention comes in, is that in many cases, the individual might be standing where he's legally allowed to be, but many police officers, not just your police department, but many throughout the country, will then arbitrarily request or demand that person move to another location, even though that person's already where they're legally allowed to be and they're not interfering.
Just so I'm educated on this, where is it? Where is the law, or where is the statute, or where is the right for someone to stand? What is the legal allowed to be there? Where is that written? So I know. I mean, maybe if I don't want to violate someone's rights to do that, where is it written that there's X amount of feet that's legally allowed? Or
that's an excellent question.
Yeah,
that's an excellent question, and that's what is still being fought out in the courts today.
Right.
The best answer I can give you is that our rights are inalienable, and they're given to us by God through the United States Constitution and the Indiana State Constitution.
Right.
So if someone's already
not written down, though, is what I'm saying. You're saying an officer's arbitrarily doing so many feet, but we're doing it based on our experience and our knowledge and our protection, is saying, okay, this is where you have to stand. So it's not arbitrary if it's not against the law. If you're saying there's nothing written that says you have the right to stand within 8 feet, let's say, and we're saying, no, you got to stand 35 feet, there's nothing written like that. So I'm not going to get into that debate. What's your next question?
Well, no, I'm sorry. What was the last thing you just said?
What's your next question about? What else did you want to know?
Before I go to my next question, I'd just like to add to what you just said, and that is that in this country, all seizures should be reasonable. So if a police officer does want to seize someone and tell them that they have to move or they have to leave,
that's not seizure. What's your definition of seizure then? Maybe my definition.
Well, and I'm trying to explain that. A definition of a seizure is if a police officer, through show of authority, if they control someone's liberty and they force them to do something based on that show of authority, that's a seizure.
Well, the show of authority is to say move back. So when we go to a crime scene, I'm just going to throw an example out here. We're on a traffic accident, and we rope off the accident for where we feel is safe with our police tape. You're saying that everybody that comes up to that police tape, we're seizing them by telling them they can't come over that? Is that what you're saying? Because that's what you're saying.
No, but that's a particular situation. You're right. Every situation.
Same thing. Every incident we go on, we determine the safe distance for us and for the public. And if we say you can't come in front of that sign because that's the boundary we're setting for our safety, then we're not seizing anybody by saying you can't come past that. We're saying move back to that sign, and that's the safe distance that you can feel free to record. And we're recording as well. So, I mean, it's not like it's one-sided of recording. We also record as well. So that's the same situation that you're talking about, Andrei, is that you're saying that in one scenario we're seizing them, but in the second scenario we're not seizing them.
No, sir. I don't agree. I mean, I'm being respectful, of course,
I'm
but
saying that.
I don't agree with the way that you're phrasing it.
Let's agree to
I believe
disagree
you're
and move on then. All right, go ahead with your next thing. What's your next?
okay. Well, I feel like you're kind of railroading me here. I'm just trying to have a conversation with you.
No, I'm okay with that, but I have calls for service I have to entertain for people in the public. So I'm trying to get to what you're needing from us so I can help you. I'm trying to do my best, but I also have a responsibility to the street that I have to get to.
Absolutely. Thank you for your service. I know you, and I really do appreciate you taking the time to speak
No problem.
with me. So, yeah, and just so that we don't, because obviously, like you said, agree to disagree. We're going to keep going back and forth about this. This ongoing controversy throughout the nation, and I'm not trying to be adversarial about this. I'm just trying to, and I'm not trying to get into a big, huge debate about it. Like I said, I'm just trying to establish whether this police department has an official written policy, which apparently you're not 100% whether your police department has a written policy, but you do obviously have, an unofficial verbal acknowledgement throughout, the ranks.
I'm not going to give an official answer on that. I know there's been discussion on it. Our policies are on the City of Jeff website, so you feel free to go to the City of Jeff website and find those policies, and you can read through every single one of them.
Yes, sir, and I appreciate that. Like I said, I was just asking if you happen to know if there's a policy, which obviously you're not 100% about that. What is your badge number, Sergeant?
I'm sorry?
What is your badge number?
My badge number is 694.
Okay. And how do I spell your last name?
Jackson, common spelling.
Okay, great. Now, I remember that your police department, and I'm going to let you go, but I remember that your police department within the last 5 or 10 years, you had, I think it was an A&E show. It was like a cops type show that did recordings of your officers. Is that correct?
Yeah, we were on, what was that? Live PD, yes.
Okay. And how many, that's done now, or do they still do that? Is that still?
It's no longer active.
Oh, okay. That went on for a couple of years in the late teens?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate your service. I know you're a busy man, and thanks for speaking with me. But yeah, that's what I was calling about, was just video recording police officers.
Yep. I would suggest until the statute comes down or laws come down that if an officer says to go back so many feet, that we're entitled to do that, and that's the stance that we're going to take in those situations. That we're going to determine a reasonable but safe space for us to conduct our business, so we're not having to worry about other people getting involved. And we're okay with people recording this. That's one of the things that we're recording. So why would we care if someone else is recording us? It's going to be the same thing, just a different angle.
Well, we could talk all day about that. I've met many police officers who are recording who still have a problem with me myself recording, and many of my other fellow colleagues who record the police.
Sure.
That they have a problem with that, but that's a whole other argument.
Sure.
One thing I would like to leave you hang up is freedom of the press is part of the First Amendment. It's incorporated against the states by the 14th Amendment. And as long as someone like me or someone else is recording and they're staying in a place where we're legally allowed to be, such as a public sidewalk, and we're not physically interfering, then we have a God-given right to do that. And no police officer should have us move unless it's absolutely, without a doubt that we are physically interfering. It shouldn't be arbitrary where, okay, we'll just go down to this stop sign because I feel that it might be unsafe.
Andre, you wanted to come back to that same conversation, did I thought we agreed to disagree on that.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you for
Have a good day.
Yep.
Why do you keep doing that? Fuck you. Stop doing that. What's your problem? I'm still waiting for your black eye.
You're the one escalating things with your spotlight. You can play all the games you want. Hey, what's your name and badge number? Officer? Officer, what's your name and badge number? I'm asking you a question. What's your name and badge number? Officer, can you hear me? Are you deaf? What's your name and badge number? You got a spotlight in my face for no reason. What's the problem? Seriously, why are you doing this? What's your problem? What is the deal? What is the purpose of doing that? Just to blind my camera for no reason? Why do you have a problem with cameras? You put on a uniform to serve the public.
Come on here, sir.
No,
Yes,
I'll
sir.
stand right here.
No, sir. Go ahead and turn
Back
around
up,
for me,
dude.
okay? No, sir, go ahead and turn around for me, okay?
I didn't do nothing.
Sir, go ahead and turn around.
I didn't do nothing. Dude, what the fuck?